Hi and welcome. It is October 15th, almost October 16th, and this is my latest project. It is also a classroom project. It is another pillow, another two pillows for my read around the room. And as you can see, I bought a bolster this time because I wanted the cylinder shape, because of course we're also learning shapes, and I thought that would be cool to have a cylinder. I did make a mini cube. It was only like 2 inches square, and I already took that to my classroom and hung it up on the wall. The kids spotted it almost immediately. I thought they would not see it where I put it, but they were asking me, "What's that pink thing?" I used pink fabric scraps, and yeah, so we got to talk about cubes, and so hopefully we've already been discussing cylinders, so this should be a fairly easy reach for them on this one, because we have columns all throughout the building, and so it gives us lots of opportunities to talk about cylinders. Anyway, here we go on the pillows. Hope you enjoy. This was a bolster I picked up at Goodwill. Of course, I washed it when I got it home. This design's pretty easy. I've made bags with the bottom bucket bags before. I use, let's see, I think it was Sewspire was the one. Her bucket bag pattern, I think, was the first bucket bag I ever made. And if you need a tutorial on how to sew the bottom, doing the circular sewing on the bottom, you just got to just go look at her website, sewspire.com. I'll try to link it below one of her videos, so you can kind of use that to jump off of. So all I did was I measured the circumference of the bolster of the cylinder here, and I actually took it on my mat, and I put the seam on my mat, rolled it all the way to the seam again, and it came up 22 inches, and I thought, well, it's kind of being lazy. I should go get my measuring tape out. So I did, measured it again, and it was 22 inches. Just wanted to see if I could do it on the mat. So I did. It was 22 inches. I added 2 inches to each end, so 4 inches total, so that I could fold under an inch and under another inch to hide the raw seams. And then I added an inch when I was cutting it out, just for a good measure. And when I wrapped it around to check it before I sewed anything, after I pressed the ends in under twice, I could tell that I did actually need that extra space, because my ends are not quite as fat as my middle is, so I did need the extra. And I learned the hard way a while ago that if I don't give myself that extra, I'm going to need it, so I'm glad that I did this time. So anyway, the length of the body around the circumference was 22, 24, 26, 27 inches. And then I folded under, before I sewed it together, I folded it under an inch and then another inch. And then I pressed it, opened it back up, and sewed the Velcro on, so you wouldn't see that stitching on the outside. And then I folded it back under, pressed it in, and I sewed the edge of the fold over here on the edge, and then I folded, I top stitched it, and then I did the same thing on both sides to get the Velcro on. And what I didn't do was, when I went to go sew the ends closed on the tube, because then I just Velcroed it together, and then I just sewed here and here, but I sewed from the other side, from the inside, and so I couldn't see this stitching, and I should have, and that's why you can see it double stitching here. I think I've got it in camera. Maybe you can, maybe you can't see it if you zoom in, but there's two. You can see both rows of stitching, and it's really bad on this side, so here. But if I had sewn it from this side, I could have sewn over the existing stitching instead of, that's over the existing stitching on the other side, which doesn't matter because, you know, it's inside. Anyway, I did sewed around the body portion together, and then I sewed the circular base on, and I've sewn a few bucket bags thanks to Sewspire.com. So if you want to know how to put an end, a circular end, onto a tube like this, go to Sewspire and look up bucket bag, and you can see how to sew it on. This is actually really easy on this one because it's not lined, so there's no, it's not sewing two pieces, it goes a little bit quicker. And so sewed the end on, flipped it through the Velcro, because I already had the Velcro on, and pretty much it's done. Oh no, I'm sorry. I sewed the end on, and then because it wasn't going to be lined, I actually zigzagged the edges of this one. You can see it was a couch pillow, and it said dry clean only, but it went through my washer just fine. So that's good. And I wanted to cover it, not because it's kind of not the color I wanted at all. There it is right there. I think it's a pretty brown. It's okay. But not what I wanted. But sewed the inside together and then zigzagged it. Just sewed that on. And it's really easy to do once you've done one bucket, like structure. It's really easy. And like I said, Andrea at Sewspire, if you want to learn how to do it, it's perfect place to go. But when I sewed the tube together, before I put the ends on, I sewed on this side. I sewed over the seam. I didn't actually do a good job. Well, yeah, I did a pretty job here. A pretty good job here. Oh, sorry, I got my hand in the way. Here and here. So that's what it should look like on the outside, but I didn't sew it from this direction, so you can see I missed. That's okay. And the other thing was I did not want to come to where I would be in the seam with the Velcro, because that would be too thick, and I thought the bulk wouldn't lay right. But I think if I come maybe an inch away, so maybe an inch and a half up from the edge of the seam, the raw edge, sorry, here, and instead of centering it, which I did kind of center, I didn't measure it, I just eyeballed it. The bolster would probably go in a little bit easier, but it goes in just fine, so it doesn't really matter on that. But again, it's not layered, it's not lined, so it's just single because it's just a pillow cover. So zigzag the edges, stitch it together, super easy sew. Once you know how to sew those circles onto the base on it. So my second pillow here is the same design that I did before. It is, let's see, I cut the fabric, instead of cutting it 16, I think I cut it 16 and a half because I actually bought this pillow because it was the only pillow that was 70% off at Goodwill. I brought it home, I stuck it in a lingerie bag just to make sure the sequins didn't go anywhere in my washer, and which they didn't, and it's fine. But I washed it, and then I knew I wasn't going to use it. I just kind of wanted, I was kind of hoping there was a pillow form inside it once I cut it open, but there wasn't. It was just polyfiber fill. So I cut it open, and I ended up just taking all the stuffing out of it and using it. I made a pillow form for myself out of, I'm forgetting the name. It's super cheap fabric. This fabric here. So, oh, sorry, almost knocked my camera over. I made a 14-inch pillow by cutting a 14.5-inch square. Nope, 15-inch. I cut a 15-inch square because I did half-inch seams. And I made a pillow form, which I stuffed with the stuffing from the Pretty Purple pillow. And then I just left a gap, and then I just kind of squished as far as I could down and machine sewed it because I was being lazy and I didn't want to hand stitch it. And then the cover is the same as the previous cover that I made, except it's just slightly bigger because I so stuffed this one up. I wasn't sure if it fit, and I didn't want this to be too small, and I didn't care if it was too big. Like I said, I kind of like it big, with a little bit of room in it, so, and I can switch the pillows once I take it in. I can switch the pillows around and see which one fits the best, but I'm probably not going to bother to do that. But it is, like I said, same as the previous pattern. It's a square on top with two rectangles overlapping on the back. It is not lined, so again I zigzagged the edges to make sure they would stay together, and the ends here are folded under about 2 inches. Kind of wanted to give it a little bit of mass there, so it's folded under 2 inches and folded up under again 2 inches, or whatever I had available, because I essentially just cut across the 42 inches, 43. I actually didn't measure the fabric ahead of time. I cut my 17-inch piece out, and then whatever was left from that run, I took that, cut it in half, and then I folded the ends under whatever space I had left, so that I didn't have to waste any fabric on that. So, and then I sewed the Velcro on. This time I sewed the Velcro on. I folded it under again and pressed it so that I would hide my raw edges, and then I opened it back up and sewed just so it was folded under once. Sewed the Velcro on, folded it back under, and then I top stitched. Here you can see it's a lot deeper seam, so I top stitched so the edge, the fold on the inside is stitched down, and I top stitched this part here on both ends. You can see that I did that. Hope that makes sense. Essentially, I sewed it right here, so that would be sewn down, and then I top stitched the edge. So that is another just fun pillow using just fabric that I have in my stash. So here is the other one, and I'm getting it closed. And this way, again, I decided to Velcro it closed so that I could take them off and wash them easily. I'm going to get that a little more leveled out after I finish the video. But here it is. Here they are. I hope you like them, and I hope you are having a great day and a great time wherever and whenever you are. Thanks for watching.